I'm gonna cut to the chase. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I was around on Saturday for the Miguel Almirion bench trial that occurred. I don't know if you basically everyone seemed to be there. I ended up in a meeting with Weiss instead. I had the big conversation about, hey, why the fuck's nobody even interviewing anybody for justice positions, all those kind of things. It went the way I expected, right? Certain people are just playing hardball. Weiss said that he'd put my name forward every single time justice position being opened up, and he's never received an answer as to why I haven't been, accepted as a candidate. Is what it is. Fine, we move on. I then talked to a different member of the judiciary, and this is where it affects you guys. I know we all know internally that, a push for judicial reform and the way that justices are appointed is important. I'm not trying to tell you it's more important than you think it is, but this is what I heard, right? I heard that they offered a place on the bench to Brittany Angel, and she turned it down. The inference being, and this is what the other judge told me, who told me this, that unless she's offered a justice position, she doesn't want to come back. They don't understand the optics of what they're doing at all. They don't give a fuck. This is what they're doing.
I need you to say that one more time.
I was told from somebody who was told by a justice that they had offered a place on the bench, a judicial appointment to Brittany Angel, and that she turned it down.
Oh, and then she'd only take a job as a justice.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, that's I don't think that's that big of a deal. You know what? I read this as Angel was around. They're like, hey, do you want to come to the DOJ? She's like, no, I will only take it as a justice. That doesn't mean that she'd actually take it. So did they offer her the justice position?
I don't know that much.
I don't think so.
What I'm getting at is they clearly don't realize what the visuals are right now, right? Like
I don't think they understand what anything is. I'm going to be... Not all of them. I think it's very important to highlight something because I've been thinking about this a lot, right? The problem with the judiciary is that they try to have a voice, right? It was Angel, and then it was Arcadia, and now it's Weiss. And there is... And I think this was lost way back when there's a big conversation 6-7 months ago when we sort of asserted that most of DOJ is functioning behind closed doors, right? And unfortunately, the way that they realize that is, oh, of course we have to do that because things happen throughout the 24/7 clock and things need to be brought up and opinions brought up like outside of the purview of San Andreas, like people need to be able to work from home. Yeah. But that wasn't our point. Our point was that yes, obviously that needs to happen. We do that in our office. PD does that. Every function of government does that. But the problem is that they're just literally zero availability for many of them. So you end up in a situation where you have someone that's making statements and making assertions on behalf of everybody while they themselves may not believe it, or you can never tell if it's like in the case of Weiss, Justice Weiss speaking or Justice Weiss speaking on behalf of the DOJ, because they cannot even use that nomenclature.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean in general though. I am not saying in this. I'm saying in general. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say it's like the meeting I had. He specifically was lamenting the fact that he has to speak for the monolith and he's not able to speak for himself. So
he doesn't have to. Why does I don't? Has anyone trained these guys? Like, I'm going to give an example, right? I don't know. I think it's like training. On behalf of the mayor's office, we have decided, right?
Yeah.
Nino, what are your thoughts on rising taxes? Well, our office has discussed it and we have decided, right? Or second option. Well, we're still discussing it in the mayor's office. I personally think that, the tax is needed, but we're still discussing. Two completely different. They literally. That's how you got to speak. That's it. Like, that's it. I just don't understand why that's not obvious.
I don't like the monolith thing. I think each justice should be an island unto themselves, able to speak, independently and autonomously, and make decisions that way too, right? If you aren't capable of making those decisions, you shouldn't be a justice. I don't get this whole. It's got to be a group think. We've all got to be pulling the same direction. Like, if you can't trust somebody to make a reasonable, rational decision, whether or not you agree with it or not, you've got a problem. They demand conformity, and it's odd.
If I may, I think the last time we all talked about this, right? We brought up the notion of filing a writ of prohibition to prevent them from any additional judicial appointments until which time those audits had concluded, and we potentially introduced some judicial reform. I drafted that. So if we're really worried about them filling that 5th seat, we could just push that forward.
Yeah, we need to.
I think that unanimous vote's going to hold them up, right? They've got to institute their own changes to break unanimity. Otherwise, they're never going to make that an actual fucking decision, right? Like, I think they've got to push forward their own legislative changes in order to, go to a majority vote in order to get anything fucking done in a timely manner, anyway.
Yeah. I guess the flip side is I could see them catching wind of us potentially planning on instituting some judicial reform and expediting any decision making because of that. Right? That's always going to be a concern.
Yeah. So, okay. So, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the thing in the back of on the top of my list, or the top of my head, is that I think Michael, you and we got to go through that party list ASAP. But right now, we need to not lose sight of getting votes. And the reason I say that is, and I say it every election, right? Like, I know landslide, this and that. It's a different equation we're dealing with. We don't know the extent of how big the fuck Nino campaign is. And I think we go through that priority list, and definitely further towards the top is not just the writ, but also the... I talked to Princess about this. We need to get some of this stuff sorted with the elected justice position and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's
I'm gonna move to this court case because
okay.
I want to
absolutely. Michael, let's chat because we only got a little bit, and then the court case and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grayson.
Hey, yeah, we gotta run because the court case is about to kick off.
Who the fuck coordinated us all?
Oh yeah, look, I love tits, so. That is funny. Where's your pink shirt, Michael?
No, fuck all that. I don't believe in color.
Hey, we got gang. Yeah, we got a gang color now.
Oh shit. The chains or?
Okay. I think that's good information, but I don't think it's like actually that alarming, to be honest.